Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. Today, we're going to be looking at the world of Colleen Hoover, specifically the connection between It Ends With Us and its sequel, It Starts With Us.
Okay.
We've got excerpts from the Portuguese translation of It Starts With Us and some background information about Hoover and her work that we found online.
Right.
So, our mission today is going to be to uncover how this sequel came to be, how the characters have evolved,
Right.
and what new challenges they face. So, to jump right in, I think it's interesting that this sequel wasn't originally planned.
Yeah.
From what I've read, Hoover was content with how It Ends With Us concluded.
Yeah, what's fascinating is that she was happy with how it ended, but
But something changed her mind.
right.
Didn't It Ends With Us become like a huge TikTok sensation?
Oh yeah. Yeah, it did. And um the book's popularity, and particularly the demand for more of Lily and Atlas's story,
Yeah.
played a really significant role in her decision to write the sequel. And actually in the foreword of It Starts With Us, she specifically mentions writing it as a thank you to her readers.
Wow.
And aiming for a lighter and more hopeful experience compared to the heavier themes of the first book.
That's amazing. Talk about the power of fans. I mean, they basically willed this sequel into existence.
Yeah.
So, for those who haven't read it or need a quick refresher, It Ends With Us told the story of Lily, a young woman who is navigating a complicated relationship with Ryle, a neurosurgeon who turns out to be abusive. Throughout the story, she reconnects with her first love, Atlas, who represents a safe and supportive presence in her life. Now let's dive into where It Starts With Us picks up. So where do we find Lily after all the turmoil of the first book?
Well, we find Lily in a much better place.
Okay.
She's a successful florist, divorced from Ryle, and raising their daughter, Emerson.
Okay.
Her strength and independence really shine through in the sequel.
Okay.
And, it's a testament to her breaking free from the cycle of dependence that Ryle tried to trap her in.
So she's finally escaped that toxic relationship. That's a relief.
Yeah.
But I mean, there's got to be some lingering tension there.
Right.
Especially with Ryle still being in the picture as Emerson's father.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just as Lily is finding her footing, fate throws another curveball. A chance encounter with Atlas reignites those dormant feelings.
Ooh, so the sparks must be flying.
Yeah.
I can already sense the drama is brewing, but I imagine it's not easy for Lily to even consider a relationship with Atlas. I mean, given her past, her commitment to protecting her daughter.
Yeah, you're exactly right. Lily is very torn. She yearns for a future with Atlas. But she fears kind of jeopardizing her stability and exposing Emerson to any negativity associated with Ryle.
Yeah.
She's constantly reflecting on her past marriage and the patterns of abuse, determined to break that cycle.
Right.
And shield Emerson from any similar pain.
She's walking a tightrope, basically, trying to balance her own desires with her responsibilities as a mother. It makes you wonder how anyone can find happiness amidst such complexity. And what about Atlas? What's his world like when Lily re-enters the picture?
Well, imagine this. Atlas finally achieving his dream of opening a restaurant,
Okay.
only to be targeted by vandals.
Oh, no.
Just as he's dealing with that, his estranged mother reappears, bringing with her the revelation of a half-brother that he never knew he had.
Wow. Talk about a recipe for stress, and then Lily walks back into his life.
Yeah.
That's got to send his emotions into overdrive.
It certainly does. He's overjoyed to see her again, and, his feelings for her are as strong as ever, but he's also cautious.
Okay.
He's worried about how a relationship with him might impact Lily's, her situation with Ryle.
Yeah.
He cares deeply for her.
Yeah.
And he doesn't want to add to her burdens.
So we've got Lily kind of rebuilding her life.
Right.
Atlas is facing his own set of challenges.
Right, yeah.
And then, bam, fate throws them back together. Now, you mentioned that Hoover aimed for a lighter tone in the sequel.
Yeah.
But with all this baggage from the first book and now Atlas's own issues, how successfully does she achieve that balance?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
While the sequel definitely has its share of drama and emotional turmoil, there's also a noticeable shift towards hope and healing.
Okay.
Hoover explores themes of second chances, forgiveness, and the power of love to overcome adversity.
So it sounds like she's threading a very fine needle, trying to address the seriousness of the issues
Yeah.
while still providing an escape for the reader. I'm curious to see how she pulls it off. So let's get into the nitty-gritty of their reconnection.
Okay.
Give us the inside scoop on their first date.
Okay, so picture this. Their first date. Awkward, hesitant, full of stolen glances.
Okay.
They're both trying to navigate this new dynamic,
Right.
unsure of how to move forward.
It sounds relatable. I mean, who hasn't experienced those awkward first date jitters?
Exactly.
I bet there's some laugh out loud moments too.
Right. There definitely are. There's even a scene where Atlas has to hide in a closet at Lily's flower shop when Ryle unexpectedly shows up.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine the tension in that closet?
Right.
That's hilarious. Talk about an awkward first date. So even amidst all this drama, there's still room for humor.
Absolutely. Hoover masterfully blends humor
Right.
and heart,
Yeah.
creating moments that are both lighthearted and deeply moving.
Speaking of moving, let's talk about Lily's daughter, Emerson. Now, you might remember from the first book that Lily loved the movie Finding Nemo.
Oh, yeah.
And that love kind of finds its way into her life again when she names her daughter Emerson Dory. Does this choice have any significance in the sequel?
It does. In fact, it becomes kind of a source of conflict between Lily and Atlas.
Really?
Yeah.
Why? It's just a name. What could be so controversial about Dory?
Well, it turns out Dory holds a deeper significance.
Hmm.
Atlas finally watches the movie, and it unlocks a painful memory for him, connecting back to a traumatic experience from his childhood.
Oh, wow. I did not see that coming. So this seemingly innocent name choice ends up triggering some deep-seated issues for Atlas.
It is, and it leads to some tense moments between them.
Yeah.
Atlas feels hurt and betrayed, questioning Lily's motives for choosing that specific name for their daughter.
So now we've got jealousy layered into the mix.
Yeah.
This is getting complicated. I'm dying to know how Lily handles this, but I guess we'll have to wait until part 2 to find out.
Welcome back.
Yeah.
Now, where were we? Yes, the Dory dilemma. It really throws a wrench into Lily and Atlas's budding relationship.
Yeah, it's amazing how a seemingly innocent name choice can unearth such deep-seated emotions. So how does Lily react when she realizes the pain she's caused Atlas?
Well, she's devastated. It's clear that she made a mistake even if it was unintentional, and she's overwhelmed with guilt and regret, especially when she witnesses the depth of Atlas's pain.
Yeah.
It's a powerful reminder of how past trauma can unexpectedly resurface and impact present relationships.
Yeah.
It
really highlights the importance of open communication, doesn't it? Yeah, especially when you're dealing with sensitive issues like childhood trauma. So do they manage to talk it through?
They do, and this is where Hoover's skill as a writer really shines.
Yeah.
She creates a space for honest and vulnerable conversations between Lily and Atlas.
Okay.
Lily explains that, the movie has a special meaning for her long before she reconnected with Atlas, but she acknowledges her oversight in not considering his feelings.
Right.
Atlas, in turn, shares the painful memory that's associated with the name Dory, allowing Lily to understand the depth of his reaction.
It sounds like a turning point in their relationship. By being open and vulnerable with each other, they're able to move past this hurdle and strengthen their bond.
Exactly. It's a beautiful example of how empathy and understanding can bridge even the most sensitive divides.
Now let's shift gears for a moment and talk about another source of tension in Lily's life, Ryle. We left off with him getting physically aggressive with her. How does that situation play out?
Well, it's a pivotal moment for Lily. She realizes that she can't tolerate that kind of behavior. Not for herself, and certainly not for Emerson.
Mm-hmm.
And she makes a very courageous decision to protect herself and her daughter from further harm.
Yeah, I can only imagine how difficult that decision must have been. To walk away from a marriage, especially with a child involved, takes incredible strength.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And Hoover doesn't shy away from portraying the complexities of Lily's situation.
Yeah.
She grapples with feelings of guilt and self-doubt, questioning her decisions as a mother and wondering if she's doing the right thing.
It's a reminder that there's no easy answer when it comes to escaping domestic abuse.
Yeah.
It's messy and emotionally charged.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And while Lily faces immense challenges, we also see her strength and resilience shine through.
Yeah.
She refuses to be a victim and actively seeks support from her loved ones.
Mm.
And speaking of support, Atlas steps up as her protector,
Okay.
confronting Ryle and setting clear boundaries.
That's great to see Atlas standing up for Lily and Emerson. What about Ryle? I mean, does he face any consequences for his actions? Does he even show any remorse?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
While it ends with us, kind of painted Ryle as the villain, it starts with us, offers a more nuanced perspective on his character. We see him wrestling with his own demons and recognizing the destructive patterns that he's inherited from his father.
So it sounds like Hoover is trying to humanize him without condoning his actions. I appreciate that she's not just presenting like a black and white portrayal of abuse.
Exactly. There are moments where we see Ryle trying to control his anger,
Mm.
make amends, particularly when it comes to his interactions with Lily and Emerson.
Okay.
He even apologizes for his past behavior, acknowledging the pain that he's caused.
That must have been a really difficult step for him to take. But does Lily believe he's truly changed?
That's a question that kind of lingers throughout the book. While Lily acknowledges Ryle's efforts, she remains cautious and guarded. She's determined to protect herself and Emerson from any further harm,
Yeah.
refusing to be drawn back into his manipulative cycle. It's a very delicate balance between allowing Ryle to be a father to Emerson
Right.
while protecting herself and her daughter from his potential for harm.
Yeah. I mean, co-parenting with someone who has a history of abuse must be incredibly challenging.
It is. There are bumps along the way, misunderstandings, disagreements,
Right.
but they both prioritize Emerson's well-being
Okay.
and they try to maintain a civil, if somewhat strained relationship for her sake.
It's inspiring to see how Lily navigates this really complex situation with grace and determination.
Absolutely. She's a role model for anyone who has ever faced similar challenges. And it's important to note that she's not alone in this journey.
Okay.
Remember Belissa, Ryle's sister.
Oh, yeah. I love that she continues to be a supportive presence in Lily's life.
She does.
Yeah.
Alyssa acts as kind of a bridge between Lily and Ryle, encouraging open communication and reminding Ryle of the importance of respecting boundaries. She's a true friend and advocate for Lily.
It's heartwarming to see that their friendship has endured even after the divorce.
Yeah.
So amidst all this drama with Ryle, Lily and Atlas are trying to build a relationship. What are some of the key moments that solidify their bond?
Well, there's a beautiful scene where Lily allows Atlas to read her old diaries, sharing her innermost thoughts and feelings from the time they first met.
Oh, wow.
It's an incredibly intimate act, full of vulnerability and trust.
Yeah, that's a powerful way to deepen their connection. I mean, by sharing such personal and private thoughts, they're essentially bearing their souls to each other.
Exactly. Through these very personal revelations, they gain a deeper understanding of each other's pasts
Right.
and the events that shaped who they are today.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about Atlas's half-brother, Josh.
Right. I am curious to know how he fits into this evolving family dynamic.
Well, it's heartwarming to watch their bond develop. Josh, initially wary and guarded, slowly opens up to Atlas, and they form a genuine connection as brothers.
Yeah.
Lily is incredibly supportive throughout this process, welcoming Josh into their home and creating a sense of family.
It sounds like they're building a beautiful, albeit unconventional family.
Right.
But life is rarely a smooth journey, is it? I imagine there are still challenges ahead for them.
You're absolutely right. There are still hurdles to overcome, particularly when it comes to navigating co-parenting with Ryle
Right.
and managing the complexities of blended family dynamics.
Those are definitely issues that will continue to test their strength as a couple.
Indeed. But they've demonstrated a remarkable ability to communicate openly and support each other through difficult times. And you know that resilience will be essential as they navigate the ups and downs of life together.
And we can't forget about Atlas's complicated relationship with his mother, Sutton. Any progress on that front?
There is. There's a pivotal moment where Atlas confronts Sutton about her past behavior and the pain that she caused him. But instead of anger and resentment, he offers her a chance at redemption.
Oh, wow.
He invites her to weekly family dinners, encouraging her to get to know Josh and be a positive presence in their lives.
That's incredibly generous of him, considering their history. I mean, it takes a lot of courage and compassion to extend that kind of olive branch.
It really does.
Yeah.
And while Sutton is initially resistant, we see glimpses of vulnerability beneath her tough exterior.
Okay.
She's taken aback by Atlas's willingness to forgive and his desire to build a relationship with her.
So there's hope for reconciliation after all.
Yeah.
It sounds like it starts with us, ends on a more optimistic note than it ends with us.
It does. They've moved into their new home.
Mhm.
Their relationship is stronger than ever.
Yeah.
They're building a beautiful blended family with Josh and Emerson.
Yeah.
There's even a hint of wedding bells in the air as Atlas expresses his desire to marry Lily.
However, don't leave us hanging.
Well, before we get too caught up in the fairy tale ending, let's take a step back and acknowledge that life is rarely that simple.
Right.
While the book ends with a strong sense of hope and optimism, it also leaves us with some lingering questions, and that's where we'll pick up in part 3.
Okay, we are back and ready to wrap up our deep dive into It Starts With Us. You left us on a bit of a cliffhanger,
Yeah.
hinting that there's more to the story than just a happily ever after ending.
Right. While the book does give us this, like, sense of closure, it also kind of prompts us to think about the long-term implications of Lily and Atlas's choices. Their past experiences, especially with Ryle and Sutton, are undoubtedly going to shape their future.
It makes you realize that overcoming trauma is not like a one and done deal.
Right.
It's an ongoing process,
Yeah.
with ripples that extend far beyond the initial event.
Exactly. And that's, I think, where things get really interesting. We're kind of left wondering how they'll handle the practicalities of co-parenting with Ryle.
Right.
Will he continue to make progress in managing his anger? Or will his old patterns resurface?
And what about Atlas's relationship with his mother? Will those weekly dinners be enough to bridge the gap between them?
Right.
Or will their past continue to haunt their present?
Those are all, questions that linger in the reader's mind long after the final page is turned.
Yeah.
And I think that's part of the brilliance of Hoover's writing. She doesn't offer easy answers or tie everything up in a neat little bow.
Right.
Instead, she invites us to contemplate the complexities of human relationships and the lasting impact of our choices.
It's almost like she's giving us, the readers, a challenge.
Yeah.
She's saying, okay, here's where their story ends, but where does it go from here? What do you think happens next?
Exactly. She empowers us to continue the narrative in our own minds, to kind of imagine how Lily and Atlas will navigate the inevitable ups and downs of life together.
So in a way, it starts with us isn't really an ending. It's more like a beginning,
Right.
a launch pad for us to kind of explore the deeper themes of forgiveness, resilience, and the enduring power of love.
I love that perspective.
Yeah.
It transforms the reading experience from kind of passive consumption to active engagement. We're not just witnessing Lily and Atlas's journey, we're invited to become a part of it.
And speaking of journeys, there's one final scene in the book that I can't stop thinking about. The one where Atlas finally reads Lily's letter. The one she wrote years ago detailing her, teenage love for him.
Ah, yes. That scene is so powerful. It's like a culmination of their entire history,
Yeah.
all those unspoken feelings and missed connections finally coming to light.
It gives me chills just thinking about it. What do you think that scene signifies for their relationship?
I think it's just this beautiful testament to the enduring power of their connection. Despite all the obstacles they've faced, the heartache, the betrayals, their love for each other has remained this constant thread throughout their lives.
It's almost as if that letter was waiting for the perfect moment to be revealed.
Right.
A moment when both Lily and Atlas were finally ready to receive its message of love and hope.
Exactly. And it also highlights the transformative power of honesty and vulnerability in a relationship.
Right.
By sharing their deepest secrets and fears, they've created this foundation of trust and intimacy that's, unbreakable.
It's a powerful reminder that true love isn't about perfection or avoiding pain. It's about embracing the messiness of life, the good and the bad, and choosing to face it all together.
Beautifully said. And I think that's the ultimate takeaway from our deep dive into It Starts With Us. It's a story that celebrates the resilience of the human spirit, the complexities of love, and the enduring hope that we can find healing and happiness, even in the aftermath of trauma.
Well, on that note, I think it's time for us to wrap up this deep dive. We've covered Lily's journey of healing and growth, Atlas's transformation from a troubled teen to a responsible adult,
Right.
and the intricate web of relationships that bind them all together.
It's been a fascinating exploration of love, loss, and second chances. And while we've gleaned some valuable insights from, the excerpts and background information, I encourage all of you to dive into the full story for yourselves.
Yes. Explore those pages, connect with the characters, and let their story resonate with your own experiences. And most importantly, remember that while It Starts With Us may mark the end of Lily and Atlas's journey on the page, their story continues to unfold in the hearts and minds of readers everywhere.
Until next time, happy reading.